don't know about you guys, but I'm feeling a little bit hungover this morning. I have spent the last 24 hours partying with the woke media at the Traveling Butt Bongo Festival that was disguised as the World Cup. All of our favorite parishioners at Woke United Methodist, all of our favorite parishioners were at this party. We had representation from every color of the rainbow and every letter of the alphabet. Meg Rapinoe was the guest of honor representing the L's, or maybe the G's, depending on which gender the Megster is emulating. Judging by her attire at the party last night, our favorite activist appeared to be imitating a prepubescent boy. Shay Shay, he was there with the supersized stick pounding on the bongo. He had a special little booth set up called Club Shay Shay. All men were welcome, along with women pretending to be men. Now, me personally, I passed on that experience for obvious reasons. Well, KC, what about the Sue Bird? Was she there with Meg? No, but I did ask Meg about her emotional support bird. She told me that the Sue Bird was back home in the nest collecting acorns for the winter. Over the last 24 hours, the celebration has reached earth-shattering levels throughout the mainstream media. Ratings for the World Cup were amazing! Attendance records were set, viewership was in the billions! Headline over at Reuters: Women's World Cup Finals draws record viewership in Spain and England. Well, no shit. I would imagine there was record viewership in those countries since those were the teams playing for the championship. But here in America, we don't care about ratings in Spain and England. You know what I think about Spain? I don't. England is a fascinating country. London is a historic city with amazing weather, but the truth is, most Americans aren't really paying attention to England. When I think of England, I get to wondering why the country seems to be so obsessed with the British royal family. Very strange, very strange. But speaking of England, there was one member of the British media who was very, very bitter heading into the World Cup final. Unlike members of the American media, this dude from Great Britain, he was not in a celebratory mood. His name is Wilfred Emmanuel Jones. Wilfred had a big problem with the group of females representing England on the global stage. According to Willard, there is a serious lack of diversity on this team. These broads all have blonde hair and blue eyes. Where are the women with beards? Where are the women with melanin? This does not represent Great Britain. I have a terrible British accent, but while the rest of England was worried about actually winning the World Cup, Wilfred, he was more concerned with the lack of diversity on the field. I guess he was very bothered by all the blonde hair and blue eyes that he was being exposed to. Watch his reaction for yourself.
This doesn't sort of represent diverse Britain. It's all these blonde, blue-eyed girls, and, you know, I wish them well, but I do think we need to ask ourselves questions about why is it that we've got, it has a lack of diversity. The whole idea behind this is going to encourage more women to go and into the sport. You need some sort of representation there to say, whatever background you come from, you could get to this sort of level.
I guess America doesn't have the market cornered on shit fuckery. Clearly, there is plenty of stupidity over in England. Wilfred happens to be a very successful farmer. I wonder, though, if he practices diversity on his farms. He is the founder of The Black Farmer. Well, that doesn't sound very diverse to me. Does he have an equal number of white people milking cows as he does black people? What about the shit fucks? Does he have representation for them? I highly doubt it. A shit fuck wouldn't milk a cow. They would turn the damn thing into their emotional support animal. The country of Argentina, they had the best response to this. Apparently, Argentina has also been accused of lacking diversity on their soccer team. Argentina, they responded by saying, "We are a country, not a Disney movie." That's perfect. Perfect. But before we get into these god-awful ratings, let me get to the sponsor for today's video, my friends over at America Rising Coffee. If you're anything like me, you can't start off your day without coffee. Hell, I can't start my morning or my afternoon without my coffee. Now, I am notoriously picky when it comes to coffee. When I first linked up with America Rising, I gotta admit, I was very skeptical. I didn't think it was possible for another brand of coffee to supersede my preferred brand. America Rising did exactly that. To their credit, they remain true to their slogan, awake, not woke. This is some of the best coffee I've ever had, and it gives me the energy I need to start my day. This is also some of the purest coffee I've ever had. There's a reason for that. America Rising, they have personal relationships with their farmers. These beans are hand-picked. This is not machine-processed garbage. Also, if you purchase coffee through America Rising, you can rest assured that your money will not be wasted being donated to Woke United Methodist. A portion of all proceeds are donated to Dog Tag Buddies, which links up military veterans suffering through PTSD with their service dogs that they need. Me personally, I went with the French roast, but there are plenty of favorites for you to choose from. Head over to americarisingcoffee.com. Use my promo code BTL10023 to receive 10% off your first order with America Rising, or you can just click the link in the description below and it'll take you right over there. All right. Let's get to these god-awful ratings for the World Cup final. Back in 2019, over 14 million Americans tuned in to watch Meg Rapinoe disrespect her country. They waited with anticipation to see if the Megster would actually kneel for the national anthem. Now, 14 million, over 14 million, that's a great number, right? 4 years earlier, over 25 million Americans tuned into the World Cup final. Now, there was a big difference between 2015 and 2019. Back in 2015, America sent a group of professional soccer players to represent the country on a global stage. Fast forward 4 years later, they sent a group of professional activists disguised as soccer players. Now, obviously, ratings for the 2023 World Cup final were not going to come close to reaching those same numbers. The final featured two teams that weren't from America. The game was on at 6 in the morning, but they still should have pulled a halfway decent number for Fox, right? If you can't have America in the final, the next best thing would be England. Sure, the time slot's less than ideal, but women's sports are surging in popularity, right? According to the media. If the Super Bowl aired at 6 in the morning, I don't think the NFL would have a problem drawing 50 million viewers. Now, that shouldn't be the expectation for the Women's World Cup, but they should at least be able to draw 5 million for the final. 3 million? Maybe 2 million? Unfortunately, the World Cup final managed 1.8 million viewers. Good for fourth place on Sunday. They were easily beaten by the PGA. They were easily beaten by something called Watkins Glen in NASCAR. I'm not sure who or what Watkins Glen is. Maybe he's friends with Bubba Wallace and helped him fabricate that story about the fake news. Last Monday, Spain-Sweden in the semifinals, 452,000. Australia-England, 972,000. Now, would these ratings have been exponentially better if these games were featured in prime time? Sure. Would ratings have been better if America was involved? Sure. But when America was involved, ratings were still down 36%. Now, the women, they did set attendance records. They averaged around 31,000 a game, almost 2 million for the entire tournament. Again, that's great. My problem with the World Cup, my problem with women's sports in general, has never been with the women, the athletes. Well, unless, of course, we're talking about the WNBA dump. Well, let me correct myself. Unless we're talking about the WNBA or the majority of the women on the U.S. women's soccer team. I guess I should say, my problem here is not with the women in the World Cup representing these other countries. I take issue with how the American media presents women's sports to the public. When the Rapinos were fighting for equal pay, the mainstream media led us to believe that women's soccer was more popular than the men. The entire crux of their argument for equal pay was claiming that the women outdrew the men, attendance and revenue for the women higher than the dudes. When the truth is, that is simply not the case. The women drew 1.9 million in attendance for the World Cup this year. Last year, the men, 3.4 million. The men's World Cup final watched by 26 million here in America. The women's final, 1.8 million. This is the reason that all these other countries are not abiding by the same equal pay standards that we're, for some reason, following here in America. This is why FIFA refused to implement equal pay globally. It doesn't make sense financially. Now, that is not a knock against the women. It's just the reality of the situation. The women don't generate anywhere close to the same revenue that the men generate. And like I told you guys a couple of weeks ago, I wonder if equal pay was one of the main reasons that the American women underperformed at the World Cup this year. It has been proven time and time again. When you give people money they haven't earned, it causes people not to produce results. This battle for equal pay in soccer, it has ramifications off the field too. And to be honest with you, I blame the American men for this. The only reason the Rapinos won their battle for equal pay is because the men actually agreed to it. But this fight for fake equity, it has consequences off the field. Earlier this morning, I'm drinking my coffee, getting ready to watch Untold on Netflix about Tim Tebow, Urban Meyer, and the Florida Gators from 20 years ago. When I turn on my TV, I see this story on Fox News. It's about equity in the public school system in Portland, Oregon. They are calling it equitable grading practices. If a child gets caught cheating on a test, they don't fail the test. If they don't turn in their own homework, they don't receive a 0. No. That's not very equitable. That child is a victim of their circumstances. He was forced to cheat on that test because he just didn't have time to study. He was too busy enrolling in gender-affirming care. Obviously, he didn't have time to do his homework. He was busy in recess preaching the good word to other students, trying to convince them that it's okay to identify as the swing set. Sports often mimic society. We are preaching equity in sports, and we are preaching equity in public schools, when we all know equity is a myth. There's no equity in sports. If that were the case, every game would end in a tie. There would be no winners, just losers. We are teaching kids that grades don't matter. What are these kids going to do when they enter the real world, where you're graded every day? Doesn't matter what job you're doing, you're being graded every day. You guys grade me here every day on YouTube with the like and dislike button. If these kids can't handle grades, how are they going to handle criticism in the real world? Anyway, rambling off topic here, give me your thoughts. Ratings for the World Cup, disastrous as expected. Overall, though, the World Cup was a success, which, that's fine. I just get so tired of the woke media trying to convince me of it. I get tired of the media trying to convince me that the women are equal to the men. Am I the only one that sees this? Do you see it too? You let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys later.